and welcome to Listening to Lancaster. I'm Diana Martin with Hourglass, and it's my pleasure to be joined today by Bryon Grigsby, the president of Moravian University. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Pleasure to be here.
I'd also like to thank the sponsors of our episodes, Lap Electric, Lance Communities, and Martin Insurance for their support of Hourglass. So let's jump right in. You're a couple weeks into the fall semester. How is it going so far?
Oh, it's going great. I mean, it's wonderful to be back to whatever the new normal is. Students are in classes, they're taking exams, they're playing sports. We're back in residence halls. We don't have any policies that are restricting people or mask wearing is optional. All those things are great. So we're back to what is closer to a normal college environment.
That's great. That's awesome to hear. So we should probably start off right away. People are going to be wondering why are we talking to Moravian University on a Listening to Lancaster episode? I know that you have a really exciting announcement about Moravian's first branch campus, which will be here in Lancaster County. Can you tell us a little bit more about that venture?
So this isn't uncommon for institutions right now. Actually, for Moravian, in 1953, the two colleges merged, the Moravian College for Women and the Moravian College for Men. That was 0.8 of a mile separation. This is a bit more substantial. We, over the past 3 or 4 years, have been in discussions with Lancaster Theological Seminary about a combination, which is what the Department of Education calls it, of both seminaries and then the university overseeing all locations. So that's what we're doing right now. We're in the process of. So we've Moravian Theological Seminary, which is one of the oldest seminaries in the nation, has merged with Lancaster Theological Seminary, which has a rich, vibrant tradition, as you well know. And so that's offering more opportunities for the students in seminary. Instead of 6 faculty members, they now have 12 faculty members. Instead of one library, they have 2 libraries. They have all the resources of the university. More importantly for Moravian, we are moving a location into Lancaster and being able to bring down all the academic programs that we have, particularly graduate and professional programs that we're planning on teaching in on the Lancaster Theological Seminary campus.
What does the timeline look like for that? When will students be able to start taking classes at that Lancaster site?
This fall. We already have some students in our Masters of Data Analytics. We have a ribbon cutting happening in October, and we'll be starting cohorts in the MBA program and other programs like that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm curious how common this kind of is in the new higher education landscape. Here in Pennsylvania, we hear this a lot right now with the state system and the different schools merging. How do those partnerships kind of come about? I'm sure there's a lot of things to kind of figure out as you move forward with those relationships.
Well, they're happening nationwide. In Northeastern, I think, has 10 campuses now. It's acquired a series. They acquired one in London recently. It first starts where the institution is often too small to maximize its overhead. So, in other words, Lancaster Theological Seminary had 100 students, but it still has a college. It still has a president. It still has a registrar. It still has all the support systems that Moravian at nearly 3,000 students has the same structure. So it becomes, from a business standpoint, more economical to think about the way that they could be underneath a larger institution and then get all those resources that are available. So that's the first step when these small places start thinking, okay, we're not going to make it. The endowment's not big enough to eat well forever and keep the buildings up and the deferred maintenance. And so then they start looking for partners. And you have to have a unification between the missions in order to have a good partnership. And Moravian has a very strong seminary. It's a liberal Protestant seminary. So actually in the charter from 1742, when the college is founded, we are to run an ecumenical seminary and college. So the ecumenical nature of all, embracing all, worked well for talking about Lancaster Theological Seminary, because they have the same mission for diversity and equity. So once the missions fit, you're off and running to see whether or not you can actually pull this off. All last year, so we've been 2 years in the making. Basically, 1 year we were thinking about it and doing our research on whether the merger combination would make sense, and then getting agreement to do that, and then merging everything over this last entire academic year to start this year. So the last steps we're waiting for is the DOE to say we have approval for the final steps, and then accreditation from middle states to say you have a blessing to go ahead and have this as your location. Right now, we're running two separate institutions where Lancaster Theological Seminary is a teaching site for us, for the Moravian University.
So I understand you talked a little bit about the buildings, and a lot of people in Lancaster will be familiar with the Theological Seminary campus. It's a beautiful campus, right? Historic Lancaster City, across from Franklin and Marshall and Buchanan Park. I understand you've already been really investing in this Lancaster location and working on some upgrades. What has that looked like?
So the most visual or auditory upgrades are brand new steps to the Lark building, which were crumbling, and so they look absolutely wonderful. And the bell in the bell tower has been replaced, which was a long time sought after physical improvement. The larger ones that are not as beautiful or as sexy as that is that there's been 4 years ongoing leaking steam and water systems. So we have dug them all up and replaced them with state-of-the-art steam and water systems. So we caused quite a disruption to traffic around that area for a while. It's not very sexy. It's very expensive, but it will preserve the heating and water for the seminary for 50 years into the future. So those have been the major upgrades that the campus has had.
We'll forgive you for the traffic jam. We understand it was for a good cause. I would love to just get a little bit more background. There's some people, here in Lancaster who might not be that familiar with Moravian University yet. Can you tell us a little bit more just about your institution and its history, kind of what your main campus looks like?
Sure. So we were founded in 1742. We're the 6th oldest college in the nation, the 2nd oldest college in Pennsylvania. We started our 281st academic term, so that we were founded as a women's college. So that makes us the first to educate women in North America. So lots of history there. The 5 colleges that precede Moravian: Harvard, Yale, College of William and Mary, St. John's Annapolis, and the University of Pennsylvania all started as boys' schools. So it was pretty revolutionary at the time to worry about educating women as the first component. We now have a World Heritage Site. Bethlehem is poised to become the 25th World Heritage Site in the United States. and the first transatlantic World Heritage Site. And two of our buildings on campus are in the World Heritage, so that will make us the second university to be a World Heritage Site, UVA, with Montpelier being the first. So we have the Women's College started in 1742 with 25 girls. And this was started by Zinzendorf, came over from Herrnhut and brought over the Moravian faith and believed that he would come here and merge all the evangelical German religions. We joke that Lancaster is one of those evangelical German missions. It just took 280 years till we merged. But he assigned his daughter to start a school for women, and 25 girls started, and that became the college. The men's college danced around from Nazareth. It started 6 months after the women's college, and it moved around Pennsylvania in a variety of different places, and then finally settled on a farm 0.8 of a mile away from each other. So as I said, they existed till 1953, and then the women's college had financial trouble, and the men's college absorbed the women's college, creating the first co-educational college of the Lehigh Valley. It wouldn't be until 72, I think, 1972, until women would be accepted at Lehigh and Lafayette and Muhlenberg. So it's not that long ago, when we think about it, that we had single gender colleges and universities. So Moravian was a leader in co-educational schooling for the people of the Lehigh Valley. So right now, our campus, the historic campus, which is the women's college, it has basically the arts and music down there, and there's about 300 students in residence down there. Then you come 0.8 of a mile up to what is historically the men's college, and that has all the athletic fields. It has our nursing program, our sports medicine rehab program, our brand new behavioral health science program, and all the liberal arts, non-music and non-art.
And you mentioned you have about 3,000 students enrolled?
2,000, a little over 2,800 right now. Yep.
Great. Yeah, and it's interesting, and with hearing about some of that history, a lot of people would associate, when you think about Lancaster County, Lidditz as a Moravian community, and the Linden Hall School as a Moravian school. So there's definitely some great ties to the history here locally. So you mentioned at the Lancaster location, you'll have the seminary, but also focused on graduate courses and business development. I'm kind of curious about that business development side. How are you thinking about that with right now, the needs of employers and maybe how things have changed during COVID? What are you finding that people, what kind of degree programs are either employers looking for, or what kind of need will you serve there?
So we're really good at listening to the employer. Our expertise is in education. So how can we create certificates? How can we create degrees that meet the company's needs and do that effectively and efficiently? You see cycles of this happening right now. You see us going through a cycle where, in theory, colleges aren't listening to employers. And so you start seeing employers develop colleges. You see this with Google, you see this with other high-tech industries. One only has to remember the 1990s when Motorola and McDonald's did the exact same thing. What ends up happening is that colleges figure out what the corporations need and then start supplying that, because, as you know, if one company's front door is someone else's back door, it's better to partner with the place that it's the front door, right? Because that's all they do. So we've had great success in listening to the employers in the Lehigh Valley. An example is HLN, which is it does blood work testing for healthcare, and so it's where all your blood work goes, and they process your blood work and then get it to your doctor. They need technicians badly. So our students at Moravian are working in their labs, and we've created pathways for people who get a biology, chemistry, even a physics degree and have worked in labs to get into these jobs right out of undergrad. That's one example of hundreds that we have of where we go in and listen to the corporation, see what their problems are in education. They could be as simple as, I want a certificate that helps my team critically think better, work as leaders, and do some teamwork. Okay, here's 6 courses that produce a certification that we can guarantee at the end of that, your employees will have that. We can also do, okay, would you like an MBA course for people in your company that will actually use your data and your problems and put them into the MBA course, and we'll have a cohort of students run through that company learning that specific degree. So there's specific degrees, there's certifications. The key is sitting down with the corporation and understanding what problems they're trying to solve education-wise, and then being the solution provider for them.
Yeah, that's a really interesting landscape to kind of see what employers, what the skill sets are that they're looking for and how you can meet those needs. So we're excited to welcome you into Lancaster County. How do you kind of see Moravian fitting into our community, either working with maybe some of the other local higher education partners or just community organizations as you open your doors here in Lancaster?
Well, one of the reasons you mentioned Lidditz, one of the reasons that this was also positive was it got us closer to Lidditz, which is obviously a Moravian stronghold. So it provides opportunities for our Moravian seminary to get closer to them. We have already started discussions with Sky at Harrisburg Community College and creating pathways that make sense for his students. Moravian is a institution. It's defined as a master's comprehensive. So we do a lot of professional programs. So we do a nursing program, we do a social work program, we do a teacher education program. All of those, business, computer science, we believe in intentionally unifying the liberal arts and professional programs. So we have been listening to the needs at Harrisburg Community College and figuring out pathways so that working adults who are going to the community college or students who can't afford to pay the rate of a private college can get their education in a more seamless and economical way. So those are opportunities. The largest population of people needing education right now are working adults, people who have, between 10 to 24 credits from some institution, but never finished. If you can finish those students and finish their degrees, you're talking about significant job increases salary-wise, which means more tax dollars coming back to the city and the state and the federal government, plus, moving people ahead in what they can afford and their quality of life. So we are going to be actively working on degree completions of adults and Lancaster is the second largest, my understanding is the second largest growth area in Pennsylvania, next to the Lehigh Valley. And we've been doing this for 281 years in the Lehigh Valley. So we're looking forward to helping Lancaster community out and working with the partners there. We have great relationships with F&M, and we're hoping that F&M students will finish their F&M degree and come across the street to Moravian and get a graduate degree. So it's a win-win for all of us.
Have you personally gotten to spend any time in Lancaster since you've been scoping out this location, and would love to hear if there's anything that you really love near the new campus?
I have. I've spent quite a few nights in the president's house at Lancaster. So in Bethlehem there is Music Fest, and I live in literally ground zero of Music Fest. Every day I have to go in and I have a discussion with the police officer blocking the road that I need to get into because he doesn't believe that anyone lives down there. Because it's just me in the South Campus. And so my wife and I have escaped, and our daughter have escaped to Lancaster for the 2 weeks that Music Fest exists. So I've enjoyed playing golf out there. We've enjoyed the restaurants, particularly the ones around F&M that we can walk to. So that we've actually gone out to a theater production out there, and so we've really enjoyed our time. The people have been incredibly friendly and gracious, and it's a nice getaway. And then I've been there. We've held my cabinet's retreat. We held out this year, so for 3 days we were out in the area. So I get out there pretty regularly when needed.
I think there are some nice similarities between Lancaster City and Bethlehem. They're both a lot of great local businesses and historic.
Very much. and that sense of grit and determination. Both cities have that. We have a joke here at Moravian that when Bethlehem Steel was really functioning and doing really well, it all depended on when your dad took his shower to which college you went to. If your dad took his shower before he went to work, you went to Lehigh. If your dad took his shower when he got home because he was on the line, you went to Moravian. And there's a lot of that still grit and determination and blue collarness to Moravian University. We pride ourselves on being an elite institution that's not elitist. And so I think the cultures fit well with Lancaster and Bethlehem.
How can people learn more or get involved with either your new Lancaster location or with Moravian University?
Moravian.edu on our website. That's the easiest way. And we have a website now that's dedicated to the Lancaster location. So that they can navigate from there and see what programs we have offered. We'll eventually, when we bring one of the big programs that we'll be bringing down in the near future will be the behavioral health program. So that will be Masters of Counseling. Eventually we'll get our social work and our Bachelor of Social Work and Masters of Social Work, and we'll be bringing those down. So, mental health is one of the biggest needs in corporations, in school districts. So the goal is our non-nursing health science programs are the ones that will be primarily focused on bringing down to the Lancaster region. So business, education, behavioral health and mental health, data analytics, all those kind of programs.
Is there anything I didn't ask about that you wanted to share with our audience today?
Well, I will tell you, you asked the question about the campus and what our campus looks like and what your campus looks like. The chairman of the board went out to visit the Lancaster Theological Seminary, and his report back to the board was, you could lift the campus up, set it next to Moravian, and it would blend seamlessly. No one would even notice that there was anything different about it. So it has that very historic feel, but very comfortable. Like you're welcomed into the buildings and the environment. So I think that is also a hallmark of what the Moravians did when they founded Moravian back in 1742.
That's great. Well, that helps make everything feel a little more seamless for you all as you get open your second location here.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being with us today. For everyone who's listening, you can find more episodes of Listening to Lancaster on our YouTube channel or our website, hourglasslancaster.org. Bryon also mentioned there is a website where you can learn more about Moravian Lancaster. That is moravian.edu/Lancaster, and we'll be sure to share that link with the episode. So thank you so much. We're so excited to have you in the community and anxious to see all the big things that your students do to help support us here in Lancaster.
Yeah, well, great talking to you. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.